Hey guys, here's a quick little video on synthetic division. Some of y'all may like this better than long division, some of y'all may not. It's totally up to you, it's totally cool. But the one thing I want to let you be aware of is that synthetic division does not always work. In order for synthetic division to work, you have to make sure that you have a power of 1 on your x that you're dividing by. Okay, so some basic vocabulary that you need to know is the divisor is the expression on the left of the division bar, below the fraction bar, or to the right of the division sign. So this is a number that you're dividing by. Okay, your dividend is the number that's being divided. So it's the expression on the inside of the division bar, on the top of the fraction, or to the left of the division sign. Alright, your quotient, that's your answer. It's the result of the division. Remainder is the expression that's left over if the divisor doesn't divide the dividend evenly. Okay, these are the steps to synthetic division of polynomials. So the first step is to write the dividend in standard form and include terms with a coefficient of 0. So this is stuff that we've already done before because it's what you had to do in long division. Alright, then we're going to set up our division with the standard form. We're going to take the divisor, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. This is the number that we're going to use for the division. Alright, from there we would set up this cool nifty little chart that I kind of have drawn for you. And the rest of these steps I'll fully explain while we go through it, because for me just to throw it out there you're going to get totally lost, and I understand. Alright, so our first example. We have x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12 divided by x plus 3. So the first thing to do is to only look at your, looking at your dividend. So this x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12. So just looking here, I want to figure out what is my highest degree on my exponents. So the highest one that I have is 3 right here. So then from there, I have to make sure that I have every single exponent below a 3. So do I have a squared? The answer is yes, right there. Do I have a x to the first power? Why, yes I do. It's right here. And then technically, you should have an x to the 0, which just a number by itself is your x to the 0. So the negative 12 is my x to the 0. Or, I mean, sometimes you have a number, sometimes you don't. So if you don't have that, not a big deal. But if you do, great. Make sure you add it. Okay, so since that's good, I can now take my divisor, which is x plus 3, and set it equal to 0. So x plus 3, equals 0. And I have to get x by itself, so I have to subtract 3. So x equals negative 3. And this is the number that I'm going to use for the division. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the main parts of my chart. Alright, now whenever I set up the dividend in my chart, I'm only going to use the coefficients. So the coefficient on my x cubed right here is a 1. So I'm going to have a 1. The coefficient on my x squared is plus 3. So I'm going to have a 3. The coefficient on my x is negative 4. If it's negative, make sure you add in the sign. Alright, and then my coefficient on my x to the 0, or just the number left by itself, is negative 12. And then below your last little term, add another little box. Okay, the next step that you need to know is you have to take this first coefficient and just bring it straight down. So that 1's going to come down. Alright, now this is whenever I start multiplying, and I'm going to repeat every single step over and over and over again until I'm done. So negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Now I'm going to add, let me write over here to the side so you'll see what I did. I did negative 3 times 1, negative 3. Okay, because it's kind of ugly, but oh well. Alright, now you have 3 plus negative 3. That's 0. So now I'm going to do negative 3 times 0. Now as we know, negative 3 times 0 equals 0. So write a 0 up here. And then add them. So negative 4 plus 0 is negative 4. Alright, now I'm going to multiply. Negative 3 times negative 4. Remember, you have a negative times a negative, so it's going to make a positive. And 3 times 4 is 12. So I have a 12. So I have negative 12 plus 12 equals 0. Alright, now comes the tricky part where I need to write my final answer, because I can't just put 1, 0, negative 4 and call it quits. So the first thing that you start with is 1 degree lower than what's right here. So 1 degree lower than x cubed is x squared. So I'm going to have 1x squared. Then I have, next one is 0, so plus 0x. So technically I don't have to write that. And then minus 4. And then this number right here in the box, this is our remainder. I have a remainder of 0, so I don't need to add it onto my equation. So my final answer is x squared minus 4. Okay, this is the most basic example that we're going to have today on this video. So if you struggled at any part with this, be sure to pause it, rewind it, rework it. Work this out while I go through it. Alright, the next example. I have 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus 10 divided by x minus 2. So the first thing I need to do is, looking at my dividend, this part right here, I need to make sure I have every single power. So the highest degree power that I currently have on it is the x cubed. So from cubed, I gotta go to squared. Do I have an x squared term? Yes. Do I have x to the first power? No. So I need to rewrite this just so I know how to use it. So I have 3x cubed plus 4x squared. And as we discussed yesterday with long division, I'm going to have plus 0x plus 10. Okay, the reason why you add the 0x is to help you line everything up. And adding a 0x is not changing your equation at all, since you're adding 0 to the equation. Alright, now I can take my divisor and set it equal to 0. So x minus 2 equals 0. And solve for x. So I'm going to add 2. So x equals 2. And then set up my chart. Okay, so the coefficient on my x cubed is a 3. Coefficient on my x squared is a 4. Coefficient on my x is a 0. And then my last coefficient is a 10. And then draw a box down here for a remainder. Let's scroll down just a little bit so you can see. Alright, so as I said before, the first coefficient just comes straight down. So that 3 comes down. Now I'm going to multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. We're at 6 right here. Then I'm going to add. So let me actually write that in red so you can follow along in the areas that we went to. Okay, so 2 times 3 is 6. That goes right here. Alright, and let's add. 4 plus 6 is 10. Now multiply. 2 times 10. 20. Now I add them. 0 plus 20 is 20. Now we're going to multiply. 2 times 20 is 40. Now add. 10 plus 40 is 50. Alright, now as we said, in the last example, this first term is going to have 1 degree lower than the x cubed. So we're going to start with the x squared. So I get 3x squared plus 10x plus 20. And then now I have a remainder of 50. So when I write the remainder, I'm going to add it. The remainder, so of 50, divided by the divisor, which was x minus 2. And this whole thing is your answer. Alright, that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, make sure you ask your teacher or restart the video. Work it out while you watch the video. I can't stress that enough. You're not going to understand this stuff unless you actually work it out. But I hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to come ask me. Have a great day.